So this is a really exciting topic for me. I hope it will be for you too. But there is absolutely nothing more important in this industry than branding and branding on ethics, because the brands drive the rest of the market. Product development drives the rest of the market. You can brand, female friendly, branding. You can brand medical. You can brand social equity. You can brand sustainability. You can do all of it at the same time and really stand out as a company to look to for leadership and guidance, and to also hold up to the regulators and legislators and say, this is what the industry is about. It's about this messaging, and that's what brands do.
Also, just to touch on a bit of my experience, because I'm not really on the cannabis. I understand how it works and all that, but we're focused more on the hemp. And what we found also in the branding and marketing as well is it's very important in how we communicate ourselves in terms of how the packaging is done, what is the product saying. So because of cannabis and stigma attached to it, I, as a graphic designer and a marketer, find that sometimes we need to find an easier way of dealing with these topics and how we market this product that have been people that really not been told the truth about how amazing they are. So I find that hemp is a little bit easier because you can talk to people who they're still scared or don't know about cannabis, but when you're talking about hemp, they'll be more open. So it's almost like a start of a conversation and able to explain what's the difference between hemp and cannabis and why it's important, why the other one is important to the other. So we've really focused on the packaging. So what our packaging looks like. I know in the cannabis industry everybody's going with the leaf, which is wonderful for us who understand the product. But I find it that with the older generation, it's still taboo.
Yep.
So we have to tread carefully. So we've kind of toned down on the leaf, especially for people that we still need to teach. So that's why hemp is quite nice, because we can step in, without those people.
Yeah. Plus, everybody does it, and you're not differentiating yourself either.
Yes,
but you're like leaf, and every brand has the word green in it.
Yeah, but visually, it doesn't work for some people. So
no, it doesn't.
We also need to be mindful of, as creatives and marketers, who our target market is as well, and who we're talking to. So yes, the youth is wonderful, and that's where we need to talk to the youth. They can understand what we're talking about cannabis, they can understand what we're talking about hemp. But the older generation, less on the cannabis and more on the hemp, and then we can introduce the hemp. So branding, I believe, and look, from experience in the people, because they don't know. Make the package beautiful. At bedside, they don't actually see that is a cannabis product. There's a little thing, there's a little leaf that kind of represents cannabis, but then it is, okay, that looks like something that I get from the shops. It's a candle that's made out of cannabis or hemp, but it doesn't shout, I'm cannabis.
Right.
So I personally believe that that's in this industry that still needs a lot of education. It's important that what the packaging looks like, what it says in the education, where the social media ties in, comes in as well, in communicating what the product is all about, and it also helps with the industry. It's not removing the stigma.
I think that's very important. I think education, especially because you're working with two different demographics, you have the old guard that has this high stigma behind cannabis, and then you have the new guard who's fairly well educated. In the amount of days that I've spent here at the Expo, I've seen a lot of people asking more questions than actually making more sales or actually buying anything in general. And the one thing I want to say to these brands is I have yet to see a brand here that's selling any type of consumable that is focusing more on education instead of pricing. Because right now, if you ask any 5 stalls here, what is the recommended dosage for this kind of ailment, you'll get a different answer every time. And I feel if you have that as a standard, you're not putting people at ease of using this product in the first place. We're still trying to fight the stigma. In the next 4 to 5 years, when the stigma is broken, then cannabis products will move away from being a cannabis product to a lifestyle product. And we still have to make sure that we set the foundation of educating people from the get-go, and it also relates back to transparency as a brand. Yeah. Now more than ever, because we're in a natural brand area, we have to be very thorough with regards to how we communicate to these people and say, this is how our product is made, this is who benefits from having this product made, this is how tasting, and this is how validation. You have to get that buy-in. I think people currently are so fighting for market share and brand dominance, they're not actually focusing on educating that market in the first place.
Yeah.
It's very easy to fight over a small pot, but once that pot gets bigger, then you can diversify. Throughout my whole time here at the Expo, I've only found a handful of brands who are really doing something unique. And I find that a little bit disheartening because you're sitting with a product that is so diverse that you shouldn't be fighting with someone for your space in the sun. Especially everyone who's moving from the business to consumer market. What about business to business? What no one understands is the cannabis market is going to set off a boom of secondary initiatives, logistics, security, packaging, human resource, recruitment. These are all fundamental elements that's needed for a primary industry to thrive. And then you'll have less competition, you'll be able to work directly with a business that will buy all your stock or whatever services you're offering once off. So instead of fighting for this small market, why not be a little bit more creative and find your spot in the sun?
Well, there's that too, but there's also, there's individual company branding, but really where this market is now, you're branding the market. Right? So the education piece is really important. And having, like you said, companies like yours who's obviously doing education to have bigger and bigger platforms so that all of that messaging gets out there so that your legalization and regulation is all easier and you hit on as an industry the points of prohibition and social ills and medical research and the science and all those things that they can't argue about, right? That hits that branding for the industry works.
I agree.
Look, just also to add to what you were saying, collaboration.
100%.
We can't do this without collaboration. What we do with Daki is we collaborate also with other suppliers. So like we were saying, business to business. They take our stuff, we take their stuff. They've got their own market that they are taking, we've got our own market we are taking. The beautiful thing about this industry called cannabis, it doesn't matter what industry you're coming from. Coming from law, there's a space for you.
Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer. All I did was apply my skills in graphic design to packaging and communication and marketing. That's all I can do. Somebody else is coming in into sales. Somebody else is coming from manufacturing. Somebody is into construction. So there is no space for, like you were saying, there's no competition here. If we can remember, I think this is the beauty of cannabis is it really tells us what is important in life.
Yeah.
Collaboration. This plant is for, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are playing, you can find your own space in this. How amazing is that?
That's brilliant, and that's why I want to encourage people to do a little bit more research about the versatility, especially with hemp. If you see there's over 5,000 products, are you telling me that you can't find something that's so unique that no one else has thought about it?
We did.
You know what I mean? It's that simple. It really is that simple.
It is. I think because of that stigma, we are really missing out.
A major barrier that I've also realized, especially when I'm speaking to brands here, is they don't have a lot of market research to go off of. There's no primary sales data for the cannabis industry in a country where it's still illegal. So brands are kind of shooting from the hip and using their best judgment as to what they think the market wants, but they don't know that for a fact. what they should be doing is opening up lines of communication. Even if your community is a small amount of people that support your brand, ask them questions. Really ask them questions. I was watching a study yesterday about this makeup brand in the States that do their own production line, and they focus on their social media interactions so well that if someone recommends a new shade of lipstick or whatever, they can literally, from the idea to putting it out into market, takes them 5 days. 5 days to make a brand new product that someone requested, and it just means that they're constantly listening to what the market wants, and that's how you're going to build brand loyalty.
Well, there is some danger in that though too. I mean, speaking from, we're an extraction technology company, right? So people come to us before they've initiated creating product. So they'll come and they say to us, well, we want an ethanol system or we want a CO2 system. And my first question is, well, what are you going to make? And pretty often, especially in these larger corporations, they're like, well, we don't know yet. We're going to do some market research and we're going to have the consumers tell us what we want. I'm like, well, hold on. This is a brand new market. You can create the market. Why would you pass up that opportunity? You tell the market what they want. You create the brand. You create that product and you educate, and then you've got something and you own it at so many different levels, because you can own it on the ethics and the product and politics and all of it.
No, I agree. I just wanted to have people focus on maintaining their small community and actually listening to their feedback.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to listen to them, you're not going to get brand loyalties, and that's ultimately what we want, especially if you're in the consumable market. Right now, it's a completely saturated market, and people need to find a way to be a little bit above the edge.
How is it saturated?
Well, if you look at this as this Expo as a perfect example, you'll find at least 15 to 20 brands that are only focusing on selling oils. And hence, I've walked around, and most of these people are very reluctant to even buy a product because they're not educated enough to actually buy the right one. They're kind of going off the advice of the salesperson. And I don't feel like they feel confident in their purchase when they do make it. You want someone to walk up to your stand and know exactly what they need, and they're educated in the amount of dosages that they need for that specific ailment. And right now, they're
So are they failing on their branding?
But not necessarily failing. When it comes to actually educating them, yes, I think they're 100% failing on their branding. Yes, the image looks great. Yes, they have a diversity of products, but they're not actually getting a proper buy-in. They're getting a once-off sale. I promise you, there's a lot of people here that have bought an oil from a company here that won't necessarily go back to them because they don't feel they just bought it for now. And I feel like once you kind of focus on educating people, they already feel at ease that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just in a couple of days that I've spent here, you've spoken to a lot of people that say, these people look like they know what they're talking about, these people don't know what they're talking about, and that it shouldn't actually be that way. It's because people are still fighting for their place in the sun. They're still trying to find their own unique spot within their brand. So I feel like they're kind of in limbo right now. So I would advise anyone looking to start a brand in South Africa to, one, do your research, two, partner with people that you feel are legitimate. Like, go do your research about them, pre-vet them. Because at the end of the day, if you're working with someone who's not up to par, your brand will suffer in the process. That's a given fact.
Okay.
And there is so many resources just in this building alone where you can find all the information that you need on a specific industry or a specific niche for that matter. But you really need to dial it down. Even if you do take your time and you don't launch immediately, that's also fine. The market is not going anywhere. It's going to be there when you're ready, but you'll just be more ready than the person who's before you. I always use the analogy that the cannabis industry for me in South Africa is like a nightclub opening where there's no bouncer. And everyone can get in, no one's checking IDs, and the only time you'll actually find out if that person was up to no good is when the fight's already started. And I feel like you need to pre-vet every single person that you're affiliating with your brand needs to have the same long-term plan that you have. Because all the people that I've seen here, a lot of them are here for a quick buck. And if that's your reason for getting into this industry, get out. Because not only will you not make it, two, your customers will see it. They will see that you only care about is moving stock and not actually helping them. Because at the end of the day, we're selling medicine. That's the main goal. If you're in normal cannabis cultivation, you are selling medicine. And it is our ethical duty to make sure that your product is as good as it possibly can be. And even if that cuts into your margins, then so be it. You'll have the longevity to still rise above the rest. If you only care about your bottom line, you're not going to make it. It's as simple as that. If you're not caring about your brand from start to finish, even with the smallest details, customer satisfaction, packaging, make them feel like they're part of your family because you take care of your family. And that is the kind of message you have to resonate in every aspect of your business.
Yeah.
Speaking of family and your brand, God, I can't remember who said this now, but basically it's the hardest thing for your competitors to compete against is a brand based from your employees. So that your brand starts in-house,
Yeah.
right? So that, because you're talking about how they believe some of the people selling stuff and other ones they don't. Some people like get it and other ones don't. And that having that consensus and that focused direction from your own team, that emanates out from it. People feel it, like you said, they feel that consensus and that knowledge base, and just treating your employees like their family, and making sure they're paid well and they have good time off, and all of those things that are missing often culturally in the broader scope. So it's another way that cannabis brands can help improve.
I completely agree, because at the end of the day, there's only going to be so many true professionals in this industry. So when you do find someone who actually speaks the language and is in it for the right reasons, hold on to them. Because you're not going to find someone like that again. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it is our experience that we have to focus first on the that the money will come.
Yeah, of course.
But when we're dealing with people, big business and stuff like that, that's why you're talking about how there's so many companies here that are selling. But they're selling because there is this whole craze of cannabis and it can make money and all that, and they've missed on that one-on-one, two-on-one, your corner, in the healing process. We are first and foremost selling medicine, healing, lifestyle, and then the people, once they've caught on because of how we presented ourselves, how we actually even showed, like you were saying, how we work with one another. I think that working ethic that you're talking about seems to be working better with the small companies, because we can still go back to the basics, and that's where what we're trying to do as small business as well is going back to the basics of what we were meant to be doing, how we were meant to do business, how we were meant to be families, how we were meant to have relationships. That's why collaboration is important. You can't collaborate with anyone without a relationship.
Also, I feel a lot of cannabis brands in South Africa, if they don't listen to external opinions, whether it be their customers or an external company, like for example my company, when we assist brands with strategies, you're going to become biased. And once you become biased, you get tunnel vision. And that's the quickest way for a brand to not reach its true potential. I actually want to ask you a question, Nancy. You coming from America where there's obviously big companies having big budgets and big expenditures, what kind of barriers to entry do you guys see from a social media point of view? Because obviously Facebook kind of restricts the amount of content that you can produce. So what do you advise brands in the States that actually want to have good marketing impact on digital but have these kind of social media problems? Do you guys focus more on organic content? Is it more Google paid ads? What are you guys doing to actually build that digital footprint?
It's everything. You can't just do one or the
No,
other.
of course.
It's all of it.
Of course.
You have to pay for the digital ads. You have to do Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And of course, Facebook's ridiculous because anything the kids can. They say they're not biased. They're biased, and they, okay, I'm not going to get into a discussion about it. But anyway, you can't use the word cannabis on Facebook. Yeah, it's all those things. But I think the biggest barrier for the industry and its growth is actually a lack of funding and access to applications for women and people of color. The New York Times did a study a couple of years ago this was across
The New York
any
Times.
industry, any business, that for every $58 million that men get for investment, women get $1 million.
That is ridiculous.
It's
But
totally
more
ridiculous.
women, more men
So you're
ask for
talking about an industry
investment.
that's based in health and wellness, that traditionally women make 80% of the decisions about health and wellness and spend that money. Like, that's your audience. That's the brand. That's who you're trying to target. And it is the biggest demographic still to be utilized, that and people over 50.
I've always said that I think a market that no one is looking at that has huge potential is the elderly market. We have a big e-commerce website here in South Africa called Take It All.
Careful there.
Yeah.
Elderly 50, I don't know.
No, I understand that, but I always find it so funny. Can you imagine how much money e-commerce websites would make if old people actually knew how to use the internet? That's a whole market expenditure that no one's looking at. And these people are people who have the true ailments. Like, they're the people who really struggle with long-term
Well,
problems.
this is something that each one of us can do, and this is a whole other marketing platform, and not just word of mouth. And that's like
So do
going
we want
to your,
to change
it's going to your
their
granddad.
way, or do we have to change how we get
No,
to
we
them?
have to change.
You
No,
see,
we
so
have
we can't expect them to be
No, of course not. No, we need to
social
be the change. No, I agree.
on social media. I think they won't.
Well, currently when I'm speaking to a lot of South African brands here, the major problem that they have is because most of them are startups, when they use their budgets, they have to be very meticulous. You can't actually shoot from the hip, and it makes it so much more difficult for them to make constructive decisions because we don't have any primary data. We don't have any tangible information to work off of to say, yes, this is how this market will react. So what I always try to tell my clients is when you do start out, try and get as many data points as possible.
Have you ever, do you know Malcolm Gladwell?
Yes, I do.
Have you read Blink?
No, I haven't, unfortunately.
Read Blink.
I'll give that a go. I'll definitely give that a go.
Because you can, basically Blink, he talks about, accessing data, research that, when actually, before you even do that, in your gut, what the right decision is. And the more data sometimes, and data's not 100% saying it's terrible, but sometimes it can bias you away from your gut and what is the right thing and the right path.
So would you be more open to saying it's more of a 50-50 split of kind of looking at the data and then kind of using your gut, kind of finding a midway point and then making a constructive decision based on that?
I think
If you have the data in the first place. I mean, here in South Africa we're very limited, but if they say down the line and you do have an excessive amount of data, is it a 50-50 split?
you're trying to do numbers again.
Fair enough. My numbers go.
Nice lady.
What this industry is doing is solving human problems, right? So you're either solving a human problem with your brand to bring somebody medicine or nutrition or help get people out of prison, or those are the branding pillars that you build on, and you can never go wrong
Fair.
on those ever.
Fair enough.
And those are your arguments for for government. Like, what you're doing isn't right. You will be on the wrong side of history unless you go down this path of science and social health equity.
That is a major problem that we're facing currently. So
It's
so
everywhere.
it should-
That's
it is
why
a-
prohibition. That's why prohibition exists. That's why we only have a CBD market.
Yeah.
We didn't. If we didn't have to worry about THC, then we would have a whole cannabis market instead of just CBD. And let's not put THC in anything. Which it's arbitrary.
It's ridiculous.
We were fed a bunch of propaganda, and the government still believes it, and so does everybody else to a large degree. And that's our responsibility as branders to brand the industry and say, no, this was created on a social ill, and we need to cure that ill. And we're going to cure that ill we're going to cure this social inequity that was in. That's what it's all about. In its essence, they destroyed thousands and thousands and thousands of years of medical use by that one thing.
So our battle is actually a lot bigger than we anticipated.
Woohoo!
But look, it's worth listening to us have a solution. It's worth everybody else who's a solution.
I think it's up to each brand to kind of figure out how they're going to educate, depending on the kind of market that you're entering into. I think I agree with you. Education and transparency is at the heart of anything that we're going to be doing. Because again, because we're trying to beat propaganda, we're trying to beat that stigma, we need to make sure that the information that we're putting out is 100% correct. And even if it makes your brand look a little bit vulnerable, and it's okay, it's worth it. In the long run, for the greater good of the ecosystem, everyone is going to have to adhere to a certain code of conduct when it comes to how you actually position yourself within the market. And there is diversity. I don't think you need to be greedy in the way that you just want to get ahead of your competitor. Again, as we discussed, there's so many niche markets you can move into. Once you actually sell, you're going to have that rush to kind of be better than the person next to you. Then you can have open conversations with your clients and explain to them, this is how it works, this is what we're doing. If you buy in, great. If you don't, we will find someone who does. Because at the end of the day, you want to find curves. You want to find people who are in it for the medicine.
One of the things that we're trying to really do right now in the States, as far as a few organizations that I belong to, and that's we're trying to really educate the people who are selling the products to the public in shops. Because they have their first contact,
Yeah.
you know, and if they don't know what they're talking about, they don't know how to talk about the cannabinoid system, or hey, this company is really awesome, they're giving 10% back to the environment, or hey, this company is great, look, they have environmentally friendly packaging. Yeah, they're 25 cents more, but look what you get, and people will pay more. But so we're trying to get the, what we call them, bud tenders, at those shops but that goes back to the retail owners, right? Like trying to get them to do the education, and it also secures their jobs because they become more educated and more valuable, and so they can earn more money and they can be more valuable to the retailer, and it actually just creates a healthier ecosystem economically as well.
Look, I agree with you. It's still a challenge. I've walked around malls, I've gone into health shops, I've asked questions on people that are working there. What is cannabis? What is hemp oil? What is the benefit? I walk out very upset.
Yeah.
Because we have people who are selling this amazing product that people need, but the people who are selling it have no clue. I mean,
I can actually attest to that. When I went to the Cannabis Expo in Cape Town earlier this year, there was a company there that actually does tasting. They actually had machinery and testing and everything. And they tasted a bunch of random samples at the expo, and they actually found motor oil in one of the products, and it was a consumable. So I think regulation when it comes to that kind of thing needs to be more put in place, especially some of these brands have certification, but at the end of the day, they can honestly hurt someone. Like someone can get violently ill, and that will basically put off a whole market. I mean, a major part of why I think cannabis is growing in South Africa so much is people are talking. If I use a product that works for me, I'm going to be an advocate for that product going forward. And if you have a product in place that doesn't have that brand trust, it's going to be a trickle effect, and it's going to make people even more wary to put their feet into the cannabis industry while we're so eager to get people involved. So every person counts, in my opinion. You can't have someone who's had a bad experience. We need to read out the brands that are giving these bad experiences because it's setting off a ripple effect through the whole industry. And that's what we need to find out. I really think we do.
that's business, right?
That's business, unfortunately.
Whether it's in the cannabis or it's business. So
It's business.
are you dealing with people who just want to do business, or do you
Yeah, but I think
really
most people need to
understand why
be
we
accountable for their actions.
Capitalism,
I think because
baby.
we're now putting regulatory boards in place that can actually monitor it. Like for example, I don't necessarily believe in a lot of the testing certification a lot of these companies are getting here. One, if it's from a dodgy country, you can be like, it's not necessarily up to par, but okay, we'll go with it. You shouldn't be even considering that. Your stuff should be properly tested and properly branded and properly executed. And there shouldn't be any room for error because we're all fighting for the same fight of just getting people to buy into cannabis in the broader spectrum of it. So I think accountability has to be a major part of your ethos as a brand.
Okay, are we ready for some Q&A? Is that okay with you guys?
Perfect.
Perfect. Got a question over there. Anybody else want to ask something, just so we know who to hand over the mic to next? Okay, that's okay. If you think of something, just pop your hand up.
Hi, I'm Angela from 420 Photography SA. The first thing that I wanted to just say, from a branding perspective, a brand is the people who actually run the company. And the reality is that your end consumer is your end result. And what people need to realize, especially in the design and branding industry, is you're going to be disruptors. You are the disruptors in the industry. And it is going to be your responsibility, because I also have a branding and marketing company myself, that you sit with your clients and make sure that you put the right ingredients on it. it's not up to just the guys that are manufacturing it, but it's up to you to educate your clients.
Yep.
Because from my side, I've got my clients asking me every single day, what must I put on my packaging? And if you are just a basic graphic designer, then get the right people involved to help you get the right information on the packaging. Because it will put your company as much as the other company on the edge.
I don't think it necessarily just stops at packaging. If you look at, for example, the thing we discussed with regards to Facebook's restrictions, what I try to tell my clients is the only way that you're going to get people to your site is making content that's relevant to them. So brands are going to have to constructively sit down and find new ways to put out content that is both shareable, relatable, and ultimately kind of pushing the envelope of what this industry can become. So you're going to have to do more out of the box thinking. You're going to, I wouldn't necessarily say a shock and awe approach because that's like a little bit too hectic, but you're going to have to be different. And I know that's a very relative thing to say in any industry or any brand, but it's now more prevalent than ever. If you can't run paid ads and get people to your Facebook or to your Instagram, you're going to have to make content that is going to be so appetizing that people literally can't look away. And those are the kind of content they can relate to and then share that onwards. So I agree with you, it has to be from start to finish. You have to have that kind of consistency.
The packaging right now, I love what you just said. The packaging is so important.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a few companies in Washington that have really focused on that. So they list exactly what's on there, how many what the top 5 terpene profile is, what the top 5 cannabinoid profile is. So they're educating the consumer from what you're saying, from that perspective, to start reading the label. And that gets them to start thinking about, oh, well, what combinations of cannabinoids and terpenes does that do? And what combinations, and that leads them to understand more medical benefits and the cannabinoid system, blah, 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 blah. And it's those little things that are so important.
The only other comment that I wanted to make, the people that are actually selling the product, okay? My thing is, we shouldn't call them bud agents. They actually your brand ambassadors. These are the guys.
Bartenders, it's a terrible word.
These are the guys.
It's like a bar.
These are the guys that are the first contact with the product that they need to work with. And I agree, there's not enough education around it. But the reality is, I agree, read Blink, please. Because the thing is about data drives away from emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence right now is about storytelling, giving people the right information, and being honest. Don't throw a whole, excuse my French, fucking bunch of numbers at people, because that's when they shut down. They don't want to hear numbers. They want to know that something is going to work.
No, I agree. That's why I kind of feel like you can't shy away from the data, but you need to find a balance between the two. I completely agree with you that you shouldn't be completely blinded by it, and I agree with you. It is about storytelling. It is about conveying an emotion, because you need to have people feel comfortable with purchasing a product, and that, in its essence, is an emotion. So I agree with you. Storytelling is going to be a very integral part, not only about the brand, but the amount of content and what kind of content you put out.
Leafly started off with, they created their entire online presence, their magazine, to be like, well, tell us about all the different strains you like, and they started off with everybody giving their own, reviews, right? Well, recently they gave a presentation to our group in Washington, because they're from Seattle. They're getting ready to come out with this whole color coding way to talk about what the profile is in that package, and just how to talk about the different terpenes, cannabinoids, and combinations of it. Anyway, it's super exciting. It's very cool what they're getting ready to bring out. So,
Vicky, would you like to add to that?
Well, I can add my experience in the packaging was just to touch on. Also, just the power of packaging, in storytelling. Yes, packaging where it's more about print, but now, print and digital. That's how we can now tell more stories. QR code, that's how we can use now the new technologies that are available to us in this day and age as a power to the cannabis industry in how we tell the story. So that's what me as a graphic designer, also I do something different from what you do. I'm just a graphic designer. I come up with logos, I come up with how the package should look like and what it's going to do. And then I need to work with someone like you who are dealing with data and stuff. And I think that's the thing where we get the balance.
Exactly.
Where I might not be so social because I'm also a creative who's very aware of how the numbers and the social side can be or cannot be. So we found as Ducky, we found that our focus in the personal, that's our focus. We don't really have much presence in social media because we do understand the fact that what we need to do is on the personal, yes. So it's also important on the collaboration that companies like us who are not so much about the numbers but understand the power of one-on-one communication, how the person actually interacts with the package. Yes, it can link to social media, it can link to so many things, but for us,
it's brand loyalty.
It's brand loyalty. Then you guys can push the numbers and stuff, and I think maybe that's where we can help each other out in collaboration.
Yeah, I agree.
I really believe that.
I wanted to ask you, sorry, just to kind of add my own question. Do you guys find a lot of companies in America are moving towards video content as a form of product illustrations?
Yeah,
because right now
nobody wants to take any time to read it. I think the new attention span for the younger consumers is 8 seconds.
Yeah. That's
8 seconds. You got 8 seconds. They're not going to read that. You tell a lot more in a video in 8 seconds.
And I've spoken to a lot of guys, especially people in the hardware industry. They're very keen to look at video production, but off the bat, they really feel that it's too expensive for what they're getting out of it. Video production is a little expensive compared to what they're using. It's not actually, but for them, they're really shell shock. And I feel exactly as you said, in doing video content that's actually transferable to other areas and other countries, you'll actually get a lot more brand exposure and doing content that is actually engaging with consumers. So I think it's something brands should really look at if they have the opportunities.
Yeah. I want all of you to notice that not one time on this panel have you heard the R word. Recreational. You have heard lifestyle. You know why? Because it's a branding panel.
Yes, lifestyle.
Because recreational is a horrible word.
Yes. I completely agree.
I like that.
Anyone else?
Okay, so there's time for maybe one more question. See, you guys are just so informative. You know everything they now need to know on branding.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up now. If anybody does have any questions that they may be too shy to ask out loud, our speakers are available afterwards to have a chat with them about any ideas you have or questions you may have. So yeah, Lori, Vicky, AC, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. It was really interesting.
That was super fun.
Yeah, please, let's just grab a coffee, please.
And thank you to our audience for listening and for interacting with us. Our next panel discussion is going to be starting at 5 o'clock, so we'll take a short break and then we'll be back at 5. That is going to be our last panel discussion for the day, and straight after that will be a solo presentation. So we hope you stick around. Thank you so much.